to their corner off break, right? Like that's an obvious one, but there's other things that may be even like slightly less obvious, but that might be things to just probably, I mean, you could always test it a point or two, but you want to try and get as many reps in doing the most correct thing you can on that first weekend, but also testing a lot of other things that you're not quite sure, but you know aren't ridiculous, right? And obviously, like it's paintball, anything can happen. There's always something you can do. Clip breakdown video soon. Oh, Lethal. So we do those on stream, and nobody sent me new clips. So I watched all the clips that it was submitted to me last stream, but if I get an editor, then I can probably start separating the YouTube streams out a little bit more specifically. But right now, like if it's in the stream title, it's something I'll cover, and then it's just kind of that's where it exists. But I did review clips last time. The only issue is that a lot of clips that were sent to me were like full length matches, and they weren't given, and they were like 40 minutes long, and they didn't give me timestamps. So it's like the whole idea of it is to view like a point or two, and then give criticisms based on those. But I obviously can't watch like a 40-minute clip on stream, so I'm not sure if you submitted any of those. Joshua Gibson, party time, baby. Let's go, Nick. All right, so let's not waste any more time. Sorry, I know my transitions still haven't gotten them over to this PC yet. I've been sick, so I've been mostly bedridden. So that's why that has not happened yet. But all right, cool. You guys can see that. Great. So let's talk about this layout. So as you guys know, the very first thing I do is I always like to draw up the zones. Man, hold on. I gotta check something really quick. I gotta see if volume mixer. Device properties. See, I don't want to be too quiet, but let me do one more thing, because I'm probably much quieter now. All right, I'm going to boost me just a little bit. This is probably as loud as I'll talk tonight, so that should be okay. All right, sorry about that. I know some of you guys can probably hear like a little bit of a buzz or something on my mic. I don't know why. I'll have to look into it. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's not. Right now it's kind of bad. But so the whole idea is to show you guys my process for how I break down fields, and that hopefully that gives you ideas or the tools and resources that you need to do it yourself. That's kind of tough. So these lines aren't exact science, but usually what I try to do is I try to include the insert bunker where the snake guy will likely stop in the snake zone. So this is definitely like where the one will be on the snake side, unless he's forced to pull up short. I could actually probably draw this line down the center. Well, that's not really the center, but the number 2 would probably be in any of these 3 bunkers, the can, the stand-up brick, or the Aztec. So I'll just draw it there. And then I'd probably push this zone all the way over here, making this the number 3. And then I'd probably put the first Dorito as where the Dorito guy will go. So those are probably the zones that we're working with. And again, I like to do the zones simply because I think it's helpful in I think it's fine. Okay, good. So I like to draw the zones because for example, if we kill somebody off the break, and let's say they walk off right here, get one off the break, then I know that the very first thing that I should do, depending on if I'm, obviously if I'm running cross field and I get that kill, that's not really my job. But if I, for example, was the number 1 and my teammate behind me called kill the Dorito 1, like pretty much right off the break, then my job would be to hold this zone or get into position that I could chop off this zone for as quickly as possible, right? I would want to move up the field, essentially gunfighting this guy, putting him in and applying as much pressure as I can so that I do not allow them to ever take that Dorito again. Now, granted, that's hard to do. And it's also can be risky, especially if you're having to like directly fight each other to do that. But there are a lot of bunkers where you can actually hold the gap and they can't really do anything. And I would suspect that Dorito 3 is one of those. So let's just look at it really quick. So yeah, for example, this bunker, you could easily pull back, and as long as you play it super tight, you could just dump a bunch of paint in this zone and pretty much keep this guy out indefinitely. And then either when he gets bored or when you're feeling confident to then challenge this guy, then you can move up and just now you can't really hold this zone. You can't really do, I mean, you could, but like at this point, you're pretty much forcing him to challenge you and live behind his gun, or do something up the center. So that's something to keep in mind. But let's go back. So again, that's why I like to draw the zones, is if I kill somebody, like I just kind of know, okay, it's now, like I usually look at things in terms of, and I won't spend much time on this, we'll go back to the layout, but like I usually look at things in this way. Okay, there's a 2-man team here and a 2-man team here, and a guy that supports either of these 2 teams, right? I talk about this in my most recent video. So if I'm the number 1 and we kill a guy over here, I'm thinking automatically that it is a 1v2. Oh, I'm thinking it's a 1v2 now, right? And so in my mind, all I have to do is find out where that one guy is and then just bully the crap out of him while I make my moves, all the while keeping mind of what's going on in the center, right? Because the middle guy, the biggest threat to me as a front guy is if he makes some kind of cheeky move up the middle and then is holding a gap that I'm not aware of, or that's really hard for me to check off before I commit to a move. Otherwise, if he's chilling in some kind of back bunker, I can dodge that paint all day. Like anybody who can like see paint coming their way can either go underneath it, around it, or just like gunfight him enough to get him to flinch, and then as soon as he flinches, that's a far enough distance that you can just move, right? So the back guy is really a dude that's just trying to apply pressure through a lot of paint and like zone control when you're at this distance from each other anywhere in these bunkers. But generally speaking, you're just trying to fight the last guy in front of you, and it might be the number 2, it might be the number 1, so on and so forth. But okay, so we established the zones. Now let's look at the baseline. So the next thing I do after I draw the zones is I look at the baseline and see what shots you can take running out to the various bunkers and stuff. So lots of shots up the center. I hate being sick, man. All right. Lots of shots up the center. So there's this huge gap here. You can see. Massive gap. Oh, I needed to draw that in yellow. Even a small gap here. But what this ends up being then is a dead zone. So this is a huge dead zone right here that you can shoot, that you can float around, and you can float more on this side, or you can just go straight up here, depending on what you want to do. I'm here for knowledge. Learn me. Oof, brother. Hope you feel better, man. Thanks, Matt. Glad you're here. All right. So then if we take a step out further, you do have a cross shot. So like if you wanted to try and shoot that can as you're running out to, what am I, the snake side? Yeah. You could probably shoot that guy. It's just, it might not be worth it. It just depends on how quickly people get here. So that would be one of the things that I would test right away. If I was playing the number 2 on the snake side, I'd want to know how good is this cross shot as I run out to this can, or excuse me, this brick, because that's probably your safest shot to take. If you shot here, you might be able to get the number 1, but I would doubt it. I would think he would be fast. He'd be just way past your paint by that point. Yeah, and in fact, I would almost guarantee it. You could shoot your mirror. That's also a shot I would practice. So if you play this, I don't know, people are calling it a juice box. I'm just going to call it a brick. You could try to dial in your shot such that when you run out to this bunker, you're killing your guy off the break. Again, we're imagining that we're the number 2 on the snake side right now. And it looks like you do have a decent amount of, you looks like you would probably be able to make it, I don't know, barely. Oh no, the home guy. That's the home guy's job. Okay, so I would say that you are probably, I don't care how fast you are, if the snake guy is running straight into the snake, I don't think you can get here fast enough to get a ball onto him by shooting this little gap right here. That would be very hard. You would have to be a very fast number 2, and their front guy would have to be a very slow front guy. So just keep that in mind. Which then that begs the question, well, who can shoot that? And it looks like the number 3 can. So the number 3 can shoot it pretty okay. These gaps will obviously vary depending on your field and the tournament. So, but if you even step out just a little bit and you're tall, it looks like you've got a pretty decent shot right here to just pump paint in that zone. So that's probably the shot you'll take to kind of key up on that player. So then, Matt and Steven, hell yeah. What's up, dude? How are you? We were talking about having to dive into that can on the Dorito side. Not sure yet. You might. It just depends. I mean, anytime. So here's how I look at it. And this is true in my experience playing semi-pro. But, you know, take our record for what it is. So maybe take what I'm saying with a grain of salt is what I'm saying. But this, anytime you do cross shots like this, where you have two people running across from each other and they're shooting gaps back at each other, this is what I always call as a 50-50. This is a 50-50. Dude, Matt, I'm sorry. I don't know why my alerts aren't working right now, so I don't have a really fun sound. I'm so sorry about that. But dude, thank you for becoming a member, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. NXL needs lock rosters, or needs to lock rosters. They do, absolutely. Matt, the gym rat, thank you so much for becoming a supporter. Thank you. I love you, buddy. Sorry, dude. Took me a while to do that. No, don't be sorry. I really appreciate it. I think I just saw you do your membership stuff, so I'll get you. Don't you worry about that. But okay, I always consider this 50-50s. So I've said this before in the past, but if you, let's say for example, how can I talk about this? So let's say at practice, you should almost always be running out here and challenging this guy going here. Okay. And if you're losing consistently, you need to probably practice that shot against a target and keep running reps until this becomes 50-50. Okay. Now at a tournament, if it's, you know, let's say 2 points in a row and you make this move and you're the guy to die and he lives, then yeah, I would probably just say it's more important for you to dive and survive, but you need to make sure that you get those reps in, because in my opinion, this is like a textbook 50-50 that you should just definitely shoot back at. Now, if the guy that's shooting you or killing you is the home, then that's a situation in which you will want to dive. But if the guy that's killing you is also running out, you need to just hone in those skills before the tournament, in my opinion. Okay, so let's continue on the snake side really quick. So then if we run and gun out to the corner, if we run and gun, again, the same gap, but not great. You obviously have your heads up and you have the corner guy, which would be your heads up. So it's not bad. You do have to worry about this gap shooting at you, this dead zone right here. He would be standing at the baseline. It kind of doesn't look like it, but he would be standing at the baseline. That guy's going to kill you pretty consistently. And what that would be is the number 2 playing this blind. So if the number 2 stopped here instead and he shot this way, that's what would kill you. So what threatens him? Well, the threat to that guy is the number 2 running out this way. And I'll show that here in a second. So what that looks like is if I run and gun to the corner, my biggest threat is here, which comes from this dead zone, which means, oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, so then if we were to match that, or if we were trying to threaten this dead zone, that would be this guy coming out here, shooting this way. Right? Yeah. No. There was a more sure shot. Oh yeah, it's right here. Boom, look at that. There you go. Here's that shot. So I imagine, I mean, that's a pretty good shot. It seems like, so here's how I would look at this. So the home so far, it has an up the gut shot too. Well, that's pretty good. Oh wow, so this guy actually, that's interesting. Okay, so here's what this looks like so far. So this guy has a really good shot at the snake runner before he even gets there, and he has a good shot on this guy. The home guy has a really good shot here, has a pretty crappy shot on the snake guy in this gap right here. It doesn't look like it, but it is actually a gap right there. So what this is telling me, oh, and he has a bunch of shots up the middle too. So here's what I would say. I know there's a lot of lines. It's like, how do you even, but here's what I would say. If you want to kill the front snake guy, you should either have this guy do it by shooting this spot right here. This is probably the most common spot that people will be shot from. Or I think it's that. Because that shot is superior than this guy. That shot is far superior than for the home guy to shoot. Which means that the home guy should probably focus his shot here and not this guy to shoot that cross. Unless the Dorito side is what's causing you to lose. If the Dorito side is like what's running you down and the snake is not a problem, then you can key up 2 guns on that side. But otherwise, I would probably say to like cover your bases, I would probably say this guy needs to shoot for the snake runner. The home guy needs to put pressure on this dude. And by doing so, by the home guy shooting this dude, it forces this guy to come out quickly and makes his shot less accurate towards the guy that's playing in this gap, which is what will keep this guy's survivability up. Because if the home guy doesn't shoot and this guy comes out like this, and this guy isn't getting pressured, then it's over. So those are probably like what I would argue is like default shots off the break for these two. And then everything else is kind of a mix up. So what I would probably say is the front guy then either runs to the corner, the snake, or the god. One of these three. Doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter. Depends on your survivability, right? He would probably run to one of those three. The number 2, this is my favorite version of the number 2, has a very high level IQ, or like IQ decision. It's a read and react. So what he would do is he would either go here or here based on what he sees. I would probably say that if you get a kill, let's say you're looking snake way and you get a kill snake side, I would probably say that you should push up to the can and then try to take an aggressive push towards these center bunkers so you can quickly chop off that snake side. That's probably what I'd say. Again, that's like if you get the kill off the break. You probably, without even looking at the angles, you probably don't want to get stuck here because it looks like it would be a bad bunker to try and fight either Dorito or snake side from. It doesn't look like a bunker that does a very good job at either of those. And now you're in like a very vulnerable bunker in a bad position. Bruno, welcome. I'm taking notes for this weekend. Awesome. So that's something to consider. So if you get a kill snake side, I would say go to the can and try to get up to this bunker. I don't know if I would go here, but we can look at that in a second. But I would just try to push the snake side really hard. Kill snake side, push snake side. If you don't get the kill, if you shoot snake way and you don't get the kill here, then I would just come out here and play it like normal and play behind your guy. Because what you don't want to have happen is this guy to die and then for you to go here. Because you're kind of screwed. Your number 3 is forced at that point to come play behind you. And it's super risky at that point. This would be a hard thing for him to fight out of unless he did it right away. So just keep that in mind. Now let's say if for whatever reason you were to shoot Dorito way at the cross guy. I don't think there's anything that you do. I don't think there's anything you do if you get the kill off Dorito. I think you just become a 2-man operation that holds the snake side. But again, so like if I'm in the snake or if I'm in this can and they're in the snake, this is a bad bunker to be in. And at that point, if you're in this can and the guy's in the snake, you need to fight your way out of here, essentially blinding the front snake guy and getting either to this bunker, which is a massive gap, or taking some kind of inside route here. And then maybe you can get an angle. But like, again, you've essentially put your snake guy on an island if this is your formation. If you've got one guy here and one guy here and your number 3 is here. Like, that's pretty bad. Because if this snake guy dies for whatever reason, this is as far out as you are on the field. You don't have any control over these zones. So keep that in mind. Okay. Let's look at... We'll look at like every side more in more detail. And if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Like if you have particular questions about angles you want me to look at. But I just want to do kind of the baseline bunkers of both sides before I do that. Because we're going to get in the weeds really quickly here, and I don't want to lose people just because we're getting in the weeds on like a side that they don't play, right? I feel like there will be a lot of blind shots. Yeah, there probably will be. I mean, anytime there's bricks in the center of the field, there's a ton. All right, let's look at Dorito side now. Okay, so yeah, that home guy is probably your reason you have to dive out here. Which, that is brutal, dude. That is a huge gap. And what's interesting too is, well, for you home guys, just be aware. Don't shoot at the Dorito guy from this angle. Make sure that when you shoot this, you do not see this bunker, or that you won't get shots over the top and hit your hopper. Okay, so just make sure that when you practice this, and hopefully you can line up in a way that allows you to, but make sure that when you line up, you're just completely blinding your mirror out so you can just focus all your paint in this gap right here. And given that people are probably going to be diving, I would just shoot for waist height. I would shoot for their waist. So if you can set up a target that allows you to practice that as the home guy, you should be practicing that all the time. Does it make any sense to put 2 in the home? What if we looked at that really quick? So if we put 2 in the home, the Dorito side guy would obviously shoot this gap. And then the actual number 3 would shoot over here. And, you know, that actually might not be bad, except that he can't shoot the snake. Just kidding. Because here's what I'm thinking. So, like, this is a really, really strong shot to kill this guy. And if you wanted to bingo a guy the entire tournament, like guarantee a kill, it would probably be these two people. And so if that's the case, then what you would do is you'd risk a body running. You'd risk a body here. You'd double stack the home, or you'd put a guy here shooting this, and the other guy is shooting probably... He can't really shoot the snake gap because the other guy's going to be in a dead zone. So he can't really do that. And that's kind of where it's like, well, his gun's kind of useless. He could shoot a blind shot probably, but that's hard, man. He could shoot this blind shot. If you practice that, he could shoot that blind shot, and then this guy floats out here in this dead zone while he shoots this gap. And I bet you if you practice that, this guy will not survive, even if he dives. Like, that'd be so hard to survive. And it would almost guarantee that this guy can't shoot back at you, at this guy in this gap. Because there's no way that he could shoot at you coming out here and kill your dude or trade with when he's got two guns on him like that. That's just, it would be so hard to survive that. I don't care what division. That'd be super, super hard. And then at that point, your snake guy's kind of doing whatever. He can go to this, if he wants to pull up short, he can. Since you're kind of risking out wide Dorito side, he could pull up short here and then just kind of work his way in. By the way, just as a rule of thumb, when you double stack the home, you need to make sure that one side at least is going deep. Okay, if you double stack the home, you cannot afford to go to these bunkers right here. Like, you can't send your Dorito one guy here and your snake one guy here as well, because then you're too crammed, you're too jammed up in the back. So you got to have some kind of relief, and that's usually what the relief would look like. You've got one guy here, two guys here. As soon as the breakout after the first 10 seconds happens, this is your positioning. It's somewhere here. Let's see. I feel like there will be a lot of blind shots. Let's see. Noted. They will be diving deeper towards the back line going into that one. Can too. Wait, or is that a statement or a question? Sorry. I have a 3-man tournament this Sunday with this layout. Any advice? Yes, I'm giving it right now. Yes. I mean, I have... If you're not in my Discord server, by the way, be sure to join it because I talk a lot about... like, people ask random questions about, like, 1v1s and 3v3s and stuff, which I have covered. Biggest advice of 3v3s is always stay on your feet. Stay out of the snake as much as you can, or at least if you're going to go into the snake, don't lay down as much as you can. Like, you should just be up on your feet, because 3v3s are just about shooting paint and running people down. Very rarely should 3v3s be like a full stoppage, right? It's essentially two 1v1s. So, like, for example, if the standard breakout was like this on both sides, all you're essentially doing is playing two 1v1s where the home guy decides which side he wants to help. And so you make it a 2v1, 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 2v1 until you win. That's essentially what you're doing. And all the while, the home guy is shooting, like, trying to make this a 2v1 and then checking off the middle guy. 2v1, checking off. 2v1, check off. Switch, 2v1, check off. 2v1, check off. Because what you don't want to do is just focus two guns here, and then this guy can just kind of willy-nilly do whatever he wants in your blind zone, right? That's all 3v3s are. So stay on your feet. Beat the guy in front of you, and then check off the home guy. If all three guns as they move, if this guy beats his dude in front of him and he goes to move and he checks off the middle, that's how you win. You just keep doing that. It's 3v3s are super straightforward. Okay, but I can talk about that later. Probably not today's stream, but just know that, yeah, if you have any more questions about 3v3s, join the Discord. Okay, so let's see. We didn't finish doing Doritos. So I would imagine that this guy's going to have to dive, which is pretty brutal. But I also could see a situation in which people run up the center and then dive. Oh, that's going to be super hard. Okay, let's just keep going. I don't want to get in the weeds yet. So it looks like... I mean, you still got this gap right here, but I would imagine that if you get to this bunker, you're safe. So if you pass this big gap... I think you make it. I think you make it into the Doritos, no problem. The hardest part will be getting the visual information you need to challenge. So you front guys, your training will be for this first weekend is to run into this bunker right off the break and immediately get on your feet and challenge the guy in front of you. Like, if you have time after practice or whatever, what you should do is you should practice running into this bunker and immediately getting in a fighting position and put 3 balls on a target accurately. If you can do that, you will win the Dorito side for your team. So long as you don't die to like stupid inside shots, like people baiting you into traps and stuff like that. If you can beat this guy in front of you and hold that dominance and don't give it up for just random reasons, you can make a huge influence on the game. Because look, by the time you're here, your only guy to beat is the guy in front of you. You almost guarantee this second Dorito move, because I doubt it that there's going to be a guy in that can looking your way. We established, I mean, it's possible. We established that he would probably likely have to switch Snake Way, unless there is one scenario in which that doesn't happen. But I would imagine that that's an if A then B play. So for example, if you get here and you beat the guy every time, and as soon as you do, you go here, the only thing I would be worried about is some kind of weird breakout where they do this, and this guy stays Dorito way. That's how they'd stop you. But I don't think that would be what they would do as a default, right? I don't think they would do that as a default play. But again, we're getting in the weeds, so let's keep going real quick. So then, but as soon as you beat this dude in front of you, you've got a massive bite. Again, first 5 to 10 seconds of the point, everybody's kind of looking heads up. I doubt anybody's holding any sort of cross zones. I know it looks like, oh my gosh, you know, they've got their corner guy, they've got their snake insert guy, but like those guys are going to be focused on the snake side. You've got this massive bite you can take where now you can start to challenge this dude. If you've kept him here, you can challenge this guy. And then you can just wrap, dude. And now you're abusing the crap out of him. This is probably the bunker that'll be the hardest to fight out of. But if you get low enough... Well, it doesn't look like if you get low enough, you can blind him, actually. Yeah. I would worry about a hopper shot if I were to try and do this. You could lay down and head check, I would imagine, and see if the guy's on you. But it starts to get a little dicey as you go up here. That Aztec might be a problem. If you dive, it might not be. So like if you head check low and then you dive, you're probably fine. This is a typical NXL field where you can't really see each other the further up you go. So like if you're in this Dorito, there's nothing on the snake that's a threat to you. Pretty much. I mean, they might do something weird if they're floating out in that like snake wing, but I doubt it. And then snake 2 or Dorito 2. Dorito 2 is a big issue. Dorito 2, you'd have to worry about a 50. You'd have to worry about a 50 guy. So just be aware of that. But otherwise, if you just, in your mind, use this as a leapfrog bunker to get out of here, this gap is pretty gnarly for the snake. But if you focus on getting here to the Dorito 3, this is where your work is going. You're going to put a lot of your work in this bunker, I would imagine. This is where a lot of the work is going to come through. So, love some low wraps. Can you blind shot the can on the inside from that D3? I'm assuming the can on the snake side. Probably not, unless the snake side's if you're talking about the snake side can, we can look at the Dorito one. But is that the same Doritos as Cup? Oh, I don't know. It looks a little different. Unless this guy was looking on the inside, I don't think you're going to kill him. You could kill the corner, though. You could kill the snake corner for sure. If you got here, this is just a direct challenge on the Dorito side can. So, unless you were to do something weird there. But, yeah, this is a direct challenge. But... no, you're fine, dude. You're fine. Okay, so then once you get to the 50, it's just a heads up. It's just knowing how to play a 1v2. Like, at this situation, I have to be aware of the guy in front of me, but he can't directly see me if he's in any bunker behind the Dorito 4. So I just have to wrap, challenge the can. As soon as I get him to flinch, I come here, and then I either challenge and kill this dude, or whatever, right? But there's a lot of videos on this. Like, if you want to see how people play situations where in the Dorito 4 or Dorito 5 on any field, go watch Solus Photography. He has a lot of good clips of people playing those bunkers. It's a lot of like isolate one guy as you run down the other, or get the guy to flinch, take the bite, and then surprise this dude as soon as you kill him. Then you've got this whole area to work with, and as long as you got a teammate behind you that's keeping this guy from moving, you're golden, dude. You can abuse the crap out of it. But my recommendation is always, like, it's really important to know the first three major hurdles you'll run into, and then as soon as you pass those, it's mostly knowing which shot you should shoot as soon as you get to your bunker. And I certainly can run through those. It's just, it takes a lot of time, and a lot of it changes based on the field that you're playing on and at the tournament. So I can do that for like the snake side because it's pretty straightforward for the snake. There's usually less variability there. But like I would just encourage you guys that when you go to the field, make sure that you know as soon as I get to the Dorito 3, this is the shot I should take. And that shot should be the most guaranteed or highest guaranteed kill you can get without being challenged, without threatening your positioning or your survivability. That should be the first shot you take. And then from there, it's about workshopping. It's about, okay, I got that guaranteed kill. I got rewarded for taking the bite that I did. Now I need to move. What's my next move? What's going to stop me from making that move? That's how you should look. It's very methodical to play a front player. All right. Okay. So we ran the Dorito side. Now we got to look up the middle, and then we'll do more specific stuff, okay? So up the middle, you have a challenge on either side. So this guy could also, I mean, it would be a lot harder, but this guy could threaten this dude's positioning who plays in this gap. But that would really only work if the guy's playing a little sloppy. Because, for example, the only way that he'd kill me is if I stopped, like, right here. Which can be a thing, right? There are times where people will just, like, come out and take a knee. They'll take a knee like this and then just shoot this gap. They'll shoot right here. They could shoot here if they wanted. I'd probably shoot somewhere right here, a little bit more to the left, because that paint, if you shoot just over this, probably like right here, that paint will drop probably hip height. So that's the shot. But again, if you do that and the home guy's looking your way, you'll die. So that's another one where the number 2 on the snake side and either the number 1 or the number 2 on the Dorito side need to call whether it's 23 or 32. Okay. 23 means that there's 3 people snake way and only 2 people Dorito way. In other words, the home guy's looking snake way, or vice versa, 32, right? Oh, not 33. 32. Okay. 3 people Dorito way, 2 people snake way. Home guy's looking snake way. You can also say, it kind of depends, but usually like if you want to get even more intel, you can say, like, let's say, for example, I were to say 32 snake shooter, okay? 32 snake shooter means that there is 3 people. In other words, the home guy's looking Dorito way, and we know that the snake guy is looking to gun to his bunker. Now, when the snake guy looks to gun to his bunker, it most likely means that he's trying to go to the corner. Because a lot of times people like to run and gun to the corner. It doesn't always mean that, but oftentimes it does. The other thing it can mean, just as likely, is that they're pulling up short on the snake side, which could mean that they're doing some kind of double stack. So, for example, the snake guy, their front guy might go to this bunker and shoot it. Oh, sorry, you can't really see that. The snake guy might go here, and then they'll send their number 2 here. I mean, I'm not saying that they would do that on this layout specifically because those shots kind of suck. But like, if you can understand which bunkers can shoot which gaps really high, like with high percentages, and you can figure out which bunkers don't shoot which gaps very well, like we talked about earlier, right? We decided that the home guy can't really shoot the snake gap very well. That's not a great shot. And a much better shot is for this guy to float out here in this dead zone and shoot this. That means that you can pretty much guess that most teams, if they want to kill the snake runner, are going to be sending a guy in this gap shooting that way, right? It's not always. This gap might be a lot bigger than I'm thinking, right? This gap right here might be way bigger at the tournament or at your local field than it is on Guns Up, right? But at least with Guns Up, we know, well, that means that if we want to kill that guy, they're going to send a dude in this dead zone, okay? Now, how would you know that? Well, are you surviving in the snake? And when you survive, are you destroying them? Like, are you winning because you're getting in the snake? Well, a good team is going to obviously try and stop that. They're going to come up with some sort of game plan. So that's how you play if A, then B paintball. If we make it to the snake and we win, what are they going to do in response to that? Okay, they're going to send a guy in this gap. Okay, how do we punish the gap? Well, we decided that we can either send a guy running and gunning at this dude, which is super risky, right? That's pretty risky. Or we can have this guy shoot at him. Again, not a great shot, admittedly, but we could also do something weird where we wrap low, right? We can get kind of crazy creative and wrap low on this, get on your knees and just shoot that gap. You'd probably kill that guy if you did that. Or you just say, okay, we're going to let the guy shoot the gap and we're going to pull up short on the snake side, right? All those are options. If we did the same thing on the Dorito side where we said, we said 23 Dorito runner, then that means that there's a guy probably running and gunning to the Dorito or somewhere to the can. I mean, in this case, there's not a lot to work with. So we would, and in that case, it might not even matter because we'll probably just still shoot the same gap that we were wanting to shoot, whether that's for the Dorito guy or this can guy, which that's pretty much the thing we're going to shoot every time. But what would be helpful to know is if you said 23 Dorito runners or something, you might even have a code for this. I'm not saying this is what we say necessarily, but if you have some sort of code that tells you both Dorito guys are running with their guns down, then that might give you a lot of confidence to take a massive bite up the Dorito side. So for example, that might mean to your home guy, or maybe even your number 2, all right, instead of running out to this bunker and survive and risking your body against the home guy's still going to do his thing, but you're going to run straight here. And then you're gonna dive and get to this bunker as fast as possible. Because look, who can see you if they have both their guns down running? If by the time I get here and I'm blinding out the home, right when I get to this gap, nobody can see me. Nobody off the break is gonna see me except for maybe this dude right here. This guy would be the one that would be a threat. But unless he was planning on you making this move, you probably would survive this. You get here, and then this gap is kind of risky if he saw you. This gap is a bit too risky. At that point, if he saw you, he would kill you there. But if you kept your eyes up and you saw whether or not there was a dude there, then as soon as you took this bite, boom, you're here. And look, now all of a sudden, your positioning is you've got a guy here, and let's say you risked a guy out here because you wanted your front guy to run. Now you got great positioning on them. You're holding them at these bunkers with far superior positioning that allows you to get to these 250s right off pretty quickly, I would say. Not off the break, but pretty quickly. And this guy has a lot of options afterwards. He can decide to push to the Doritos to punish them or what have you. But there's a lot of codes that you can come up with, right? That convey a lot of information, right? It might be Tokyo, it might be red, turtle, whatever. There's a lot of codes that are floating around there. Oh, Brandon, I thought that was a different one. Brandon, what's up, buddy? How are you? How's it going, man? Okay. So there's that. What's more in the middle? Let's look. So the middle is a position that the home guy could run to. It pretty much has the same shots that he did before. You've got kind of this challenge in this gap running here. You could probably. I mean, I would think that this is not even a 50-50. I would say that this is closer to like, I mean, it is a 50-50. I wanted to say 100-100. But I think if you go here, oh, sorry, you can't see that. If you go here and they go in this gap, I think you guys trade out every time if you make that move. You should be, at least. I think you trade out here. So not sure that's a great idea if that gap ends up becoming like really common, because I think you can do the same thing but safer if you just go here and wrap low. But let's say you do go here. As you run up, you can shoot the Dorito guy, the number 2 in the Dorito. This would be a risky move to make, and you would not want to make this move. Just as a note, you would not want to go here and go here at the same time, because this guy could easily spray both of you very easily with very little effort on his part. So I would do not do that. That's another one that's like, oh, got to make sure I don't have a game plan that makes us do that. Okay. So then he's got like pretty crappy control of the snake, I would say. I don't think this is really great. It might be different in the tournament, but you're pretty much living behind your gun if that guy's in the snake. What is that, 2 at the very least? Yeah, I don't think that's worth it. Okay. I'm getting some like terrible frames from Discord. Okay, there we go. Please, computer. Okay. So then if we look Dorito way, we've got a huge gap, massive gap control from a position that would be pretty hard to control or pretty hard to check off, because if you match them in the Doritos, so let's say we've got a guy in this Dorito and there's a guy in their Dorito and I beat the guy in front of me. Well, as soon as I take this bite and there's a guy in that Aztec, that's a hard bunker to wrap, because look, boom, boom, wrap. That's pretty far. And if you don't give up control easily, that paint's coming your way really fast. But I mean, otherwise, that is something to consider. That Aztec is pretty brutal. So if you have some kind of call, usually if you say red alert, that's a call that's like somebody's up the middle, like careful for the middle. So if you hear a red alert, you need to be a lot more patient as the front guy, at least in the Doritos, before you take a big bite. Okay, dude, my frames. Matthew Young, you're welcome, buddy. Thanks for being here. Okay, so let's keep going up the middle. We go to this can. A lot of inside shots on the can. That's a pretty terrible heads up. That's actually really interesting. I should have looked at this much sooner. Even if you survive in this can, there's nothing here for you. There's just inside shots. I think you go to the can shooting just to kill the guy in the gap. I think that's the only reason, and you're probably going to die doing it. So, does that force a double stack? You could also, there's some pretty cool options here. So you could also run up the middle as the number 2 in the Dorito. I mean, really anybody. You could run up the middle and then dive here. That'd actually be pretty safe. I would say that would be better. So it's looking like, unless you're wanting to target this guy, unless you're wanting to target the dude playing the blind here, I don't think you go to the can. And even if you do, this is super risky to shoot back at him as you run out, because the home guy, if he's looking your way, is going to kill you. And instead, because all you do at the can is go here or go behind your Dorito guy, which is also an option. But like, it seems like if you were wanting to make a forward push, kind of up the middle of the Doritos, it seems like it'd be better to just do this, and then let your guy go out this way. Obviously, you have 2 guns running down. Oh, but you know what? We don't. We could push 3 people snake way. That's interesting. So if we send our Dorito 2 guy here to shoot this gap, right here, our Dorito 1 guy goes out towards the Doritos. Now we have a few options. We can either go up the middle and control the zone here, which is probably not a great idea, because now you're definitely putting your Dorito 1 as an island. But it's not a terrible idea if you're pushing the snake side. But you could do that. You could come here and then dive and get here, check off what's the heads up, and then low wrap, get here, check off anything here, and then boom, you're in the 50. That's an option. And now you've got super good positioning in both this bunker and this bunker. This is not great, I will say. That angle is pretty crappy because you're both being suppressed by the same angle, but just know that is a possibility. But if you do decide to do that, because this guy can survive as he runs. Oh, I hate this tool sometimes, dude. Okay, there we go. If this guy runs out, I think double stacking the home, or not even that. Sorry, I keep saying that. I think you kick out your home guy to this gap, and then you send your snake guy either here to the corner, and then you send your snake 2 here. So now, remember how we said, wow, the snake side can has a lot of great cross shots, which they do, don't they? Yeah, the snake side can has an amazing gap, amazing zone control right here. And like really, really good zone control here, and direct threats to the can if he tries to make some sort of cheeky move on the inside. And that solves the problem. And he's super safe from the snake side. I mean, the snake guys can't see him except for this guy right here. So I think that's the play, guys. I think the play is try it. Go to practice and try it. Send your number 2 in the Dorito side to shoot this gap. Send your home guy here, and then it doesn't really matter where you send your other 2, but just put him here. Yeah, that can is trash now that you mention it. And you can't shoot anything heads up. That's a job. Yeah, no one else can stop them, really. Yeah, no, the can, I mean, he's got a heads up zone. Where did I go? He's got this zone. But like, I have no control of my front guy. Apologies. Oh, I hate being sick, man. Okay. I think this bunker kind of sucks unless you're going to leapfrog. So I think the other reason you go to this bunker is because I think you wanting to take I mean, I don't even think it's even safer. I think if you were trying to use this bunker to leapfrog up to this tower, again, I think the safer route would be to run up the middle and then dive into it. I think that's a much safer play than going to the can. I think going to the can really is just for the sake of challenging this dude. But again, I just think that the home guy is going to kill you so frequently. I think it's just super hard. So I would say, like, don't dive into the can. If you feel like we need to get out the Doritos side, actually, let me say that. If you need to push the Doritos side because they're just you're not matching it for whatever reason, then maybe. But I'm always in favor of trying to find a different route that allows you to have at least one gun up on both sides, right? So we don't, if you're diving here and diving here, that's bad. We don't want to have two guns down on one side. You're conceding all of the pressure that you could be applying to your opponents. Even if that meant that like you 50-50 out here against their home guy, which actually really isn't a 50-50. It's more like a 30-70, I would argue, because that home guy doesn't have to move and he's got a lot of coverage. But I just think it's almost always better to run and gun. If that's the situation, this is not the play. I would just say put your guy, either dive here and then this guy delays and goes out, which is also an option. There's so many options here now. You can either have one guy stay here and your front guy go here, or you can have one guy go here while your front guy stays here and shoots and then runs out this way afterwards. And now you've got a two-man operation. So that's what I would say. I say you screw that can and just forget about it. But obviously there's going to be reasons why you go to it, I'm sure, when you'll find that out at practice. But like, this is not a good job to do. This is a terrible angle to hold that job. Okay, so just deflate the bunker. We don't need it. Dude, Christian, what's up, buddy? How are you? If you can dive into that tower, couldn't you just full send it into the Dorito 3? Let's see. The guy that would pick you up would be the can. That would be the only thing. So you certainly could, but it goes back to what I've said before, that if you find, I mean, it's certainly worth experimenting. This is another route that I would experiment. I would suspect that the can, when he sees you make the move, will pick you up here, and I would suspect that your survivability, I mean, it'll be a linear curve, or not a linear. It'll be a, what do you call that? I don't know what kind of curve that is. I would suspect that your survivability going anywhere is really high at the beginning of the tournament and goes kind of low to a plateau at certain points. So I would say that by Sunday, this is probably 50% survivability, but I would say that this is probably as low as 20%, if not less, if they keep sending a guy to this gap at least. And I think 50% is pretty low. I think that's probably closer to like 65, 70, even in Sunday. I would suspect. Sorry, you know, you can't really even see that. But I would suspect that first route is a pretty high survivability. But, I mean, maybe not. You got obviously a lot of guns that can shoot you. Like that home guy could shoot down on you. The can guy can shoot you. So maybe it's not a high. No, maybe it's not that high. Maybe it's 40. But anyway. Dude, my chat feels like it's super far away. Sorry. Eureka, the next thing, think like a pro video should be how to watch paintball footage, how to study paintball footage. Dude, that'd be so, I'm sure there's a lot of value in that, but dude, nobody would watch that. Makes sense. How to assimilate paintball footage, something like that. Assimilate. I don't think anybody's searching for that word. Bro, cut the math, fix them bayonets and full send. Psh, easy. I'm sure Ryan Greenspan would agree with me. Yeah, but Ryan Greenspan does not appreciate, I'm confident in saying this, Ryan Greenspan is a very good player, incredibly smart player, but he does not appreciate that a lot of his knowledge in the game and his instincts come from his experience. And that's not true for most people because most people don't have 20 years of pro experience. So we have to think about these things, right? Certainly you can play off instincts, and I think that's true. I'm not saying that you should go here and think, oh, my survivability is only 20% if I go past it. But I'm just saying when you're coming up with routes to take, you should know which routes. Like, for example, one of the things that's really hard about playing in lower divisions, and I'm not telling you this, Christian, because you don't know this. You do know this. But I'm talking this for other people. But like the hard thing about playing in lower divisions and moving up is that you get away with a lot of things that you won't when you go up divisions, right? Like, I really think that you can run to like the Dorito 3 off the break into D5 pretty much every point. And you can take different routes to get there, but I just feel like people's shots are not accurate enough to stop you from like taking deep routes most of the time. When you get to D4, it's still the case that you could take deep routes most of the time, but usually D4 is one of those divisions where you can actually just like be really aggressive and have a lot of success, right? D3 is when you have to start making a little bit more smarter decisions with your aggression, and you can get baited into a lot of traps if you're not careful by just people holding up like up the middle. But like, my point is, if you're playing against really good teams, you should know that like this move here is probably not a move you can make most of the time, and you need to know that because of various reasons, right? If I happen to survive this gap and this guy didn't kill me, well, he's sure as heck gonna kill me if I go through this gap. I would suspect that a good player, semi-pro or lower, I mean Division 3 even, would probably kill me making that move as a response to seeing me go through the gap. So that's all. Maybe Division 4, your chances are still the same. Maybe in Division 5, it doesn't even matter. But that's my whole point, right? Okay. So I need some water really quick. Dude, I was editing the CXPL footage and my head hurt watching D5 kids play. But for real, 100% agree with you, partner. No, dude, I know you do. I know you're teasing. But like, there's a lot of people who have natural instincts, and I do consider myself. So one thing that was said from a boxing video that I watched yesterday. Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget it. I need to find it. There was a phrase that was said that actually characterized the way that I consider myself as an athlete to a T. And it's a description that, or it's something that describes people that can get into high flow states very frequently. Because like, I mean, Christian, you're the same way too, but like your ability to pull off like 1v4s and 1v5s and same for me. I know I haven't pulled off a ton in my career, but like I've pulled off 1v4s against semi-pros. Those are high flow states. You have to get to high flow states to process a lot of that information and make the correct choice, and obviously capitalize on people's mistakes and stuff. But there was a phrase that he used that perfectly describes that, which has to do with a lot of like your emotional state that you're in. But I'll have to find it. I'll find it before the stream ends. And the reason why I mention that is because there's a lot of people who are unconsciously competent at paintball that are like semi-pro and higher. There are people who don't really think about the game, but they have a natural instinct for it. And it's just like, it feels unfair sometimes to watch those people play, because when you go up and ask them like, dude, that was a brilliant move. Like what triggered you to make the move? And they're like, I don't know. I just made it. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you asking me this question? And that's LeBron James. There's a lot of professional athletes that are like that are either bothered by the fact that you're asking them, or just don't even have an answer for the question and they think it's stupid, right? But I think there's an answer to all those questions, and I think it's worth it's worth the exercise to find the answer. And I think it's fun, right? I think it's interesting. So are those rectangle new bricks just got here? Yeah, these bricks right here have been in the since the beginning of this season, if you're talking about these ones right here. But for 100% agree, 110%. Matt, hard to play good when the layouts was set up horribly. You're right. Ground is hard too. Ooh, that's not good. It's true. Black Ops does a lot better job of actually having the layout set up as a mirror when I brought it up to Scuba, but oh, okay. I was like, Black Ops, is that a Call of Duty? What? Big brain. All right. Let's look at the snake side, and then any questions you guys have, then we'll be done. Okay. So snake side juice box. Oh, that's right. We said that this inside gap is here. But if you've got a guy floating in this gap to shoot back at this can right here, you need to get your butt as fast as you can to this bunker, if that's where you're going. I actually think this isn't a bad bunker, because it'll probably be the case that they match you. I would think the number 2s in the snake side will match you here. And there's actually really cool low wrap right here. So like you can low wrap and hold this gap for a second, but actually low wrap even farther and see what happens at this position. if you see a pack, or if you see the bunker move, or you can see paint, depending on the daylight, you can see paint leaving this bunker, then you know, okay, boom, there's a call out. I got it. But then you can also get intel and just run straight at this bunker. Nobody can see you. And now, boom, you're holding this gap. Now, if they got stopped here for whatever reason, it's actually pretty hard to kill somebody in this gap, because they will, any good player like Division 3 or higher will check you off before they make that move. But this is not a bad gap to hold from. Just keep that in mind. So that's an option. Otherwise, it's always an option to filter behind your teammate, right? Just pretty standard. As soon as you get out, as soon as your teammate gets in the snake, you get to the corner. If your teammate gets into the snake, it's probably best to just go to this corner, because usually in a layout like this, you can control the guy in front of you. You can pressure the snake. You can't hold the wire from this position, but you can pressure the snake. And as soon as you get pressure or control, you can wrap and start dumping pressure right in these zones. You can stand up over the top. Stand up over the top, and you can apply pressure here. This is definitely a shot that exists. You can apply pressure here. You can apply pressure here. It's not really there, but sort of here and here, right? Like so much vision in this snake corner bunker. It's very, very good bunker, I would say. Getting into the snake, then I wouldn't stop here ever. I don't think anybody's going to stop here. Nobody can shoot you when you get here. I don't think the can kill you. I think in the actual tournament, you can probably hug this cake close enough that if the paint was going to be close, you'll probably be fine. It can't really demonstrate it very well in this Guns Up app, because I can't be on the ground and move forward. It like always kicks me up. So here, you could challenge somebody here. That's a decent challenge. You've obviously got this strong challenge here. But I think we established that if the guy is at this Aztec... Oh, that's right. If he's here, he can't survive unless he lives behind his gun. So I don't think it's a good idea to go here and hold this gap. I think we just discovered that you can't really... I mean, you might be able to hug it if you're small enough, but I don't think it's worth it. So maybe that's the first thing you do, is you get here, you step up, and you check off these two gaps. Maybe not in the first head check, I'm not sure, but you should check those two. As soon as that happens, you've got this inside route. And again, this is probably like, maybe you don't even stop, but you definitely have this inside route you can take. If you come up here, again, the same Aztec shot, the same can shot. So yeah, I wouldn't even stop. I would just come here, keep crawling, get here, check those bunkers off maybe. And I think you just get to the 50 as fast as you can. Why? Yeah, because like, who cares? Why check off? Why check off anybody if you can just get here and either shoot him in the head or what have you? But now you've got a really good shot on this Dorito guy that we talked about earlier. You've obviously got massive zones to control. I mean, like this whole window is just huge to control. Over the top, you've got the home guy you can threaten, really strong. You've got this can guy is dead if you stand up and use the nipple to blind. You could actually even probably kill him just doing this. Just kidding. You can just do this. I don't know if you kill the can if you do it that way, but you might get close. You've got those two bunkers. If you step off the bunker a little bit, you've got this gap right here to shoot the Dorito. So this is a complex bunker, I would say. Because like, unlike... Oh, I'm at the 50. That's why. Okay, so this isn't as easy as I thought. Okay, so it is a race to the 50 snake. That's what we've established. It is a race to the 50 snake, and I think you kill these guys pretty quickly. Or first. But you can't really stay Dorito way for too long, even though those shots are really strong. You have to get the kills and then play heads up, because they can get to the snake 50 just as easy as you can. So that means that you've got a lot of like running each other down sort of scenarios. So it would seem to be that if you can prevent them from getting in the snake and you get to the snake, you get to the 50 and you probably win the game. So that snake side shot is like high priority. This gap right here is super, super high priority. Yeah. You could have two people, but I don't think it's worth it. But you could have two people if this guy came out in this baseline right here. He could even step off right here, maybe. But you could have two people shooting those gaps. It's kind of like not great. if you really wanted to kill the snake guy. Because if you get to that snake and you get your 50s free, game free. Okay? 50 free, game free. There you go. Sorry, I'm behind on chat. Hopefully Elon's microchips can make our PB IQ better and we won't have to think about it. I'm not getting any brain implants, dude. So I guess Barami isn't playing Philly. Flights are really expensive. Yeah, no, we're not playing any NXL events this year. We're taking a break. Barami will be participating in ICC instead. Yes. Ooh. Nah, that can definitely a kill zone. Would you say go to the 50 or on their side first? I would just probably stop at the 50. I'd stop at the 50. Yo, do the outside route of the snake. Go back to the first wedge. I think you can block out people instead of going the inside route. Okay. So if you get to the corner, the other thing you can do is get low. And oh yeah, dude. If you get to that corner, you just go low. You're in here. The home guy could shoot you. The home guy can shoot for sure. And then obviously these shots, if for whatever reason they decided to look at you, oh, that shot's weird. There's like nothing here. But yeah, I mean, when you get here, if you get here, they're dead. But this does mean that if you get here and the guy's still in the juice box, you can low crawl and get right here, and then you're in this gap right here and shooting everybody in the back. Nobody can stop you. If the widest guy is in this juice box right here, then you just chop up everybody. Okay, so that means then that if for example you're unsuccessful at killing them in the snake and they're also not killing you in the snake, you should probably just stop here. I don't know. You have a choice, I guess. You can either play the game where you guys just trade out every point that you guys are making it to the snake, which is a totally viable option. Or you can play the game where hopefully they pull up short and you play. I mean, you don't hope that they pull up short. It's okay if they go to the 50 because then you can probably just trade out with them. But if that's the case, if it's just really easy to kill this guy, then it will probably mean that people will start to pull up here, and now it becomes a bit more of a complex game. But depending on how much respect you have for your opponents, how good they are, and actual reality, will dictate. Just imagine this: if this was a pro team against a semi-pro team, it's probably the case that this pro team is going to go to the 50 every time, and they are going to shoot the semi-pro team. Okay. If it's a pro team versus a pro team, and they're equally skilled, it's probably going to be that they do this instead. At least on Sunday. On Friday, people are going to be doing this all the time. Every point they're going to be doing this, I would suspect. I was going to ask that. Try outside Snake 2. Let's look at it really quick. I'm assuming this is Snake 2. Such a bad bunker to challenge from. This angle is garbage. Oh, hello. This angle is really bad for you to challenge from against this guy. You don't have any other wraps that you can take without their... If you know there's not a guy in the juice box, you could wrap on the home, but this is just like a super awkward bunker. I'd probably rather just go here and then step off. Right? That's probably what I would prefer to do. Wrapping this snake, assuming this is Snake 2. You could challenge the home, probably. You could probably challenge this guy. I think there's a lot of shots that you can take on... Yeah, see, when you start... So the Snake 2, or whatever you want to call this, I don't know if you call it Snake 1 or Snake 2, this wedge right here, you've got a really good challenge on somebody if you use the nipple... Oh my gosh. If you use the nipple to blind. This is a really decent challenge. And you can definitely... I mean, you can't hold this for very long because this guy's going to start pressuring you, but like, that's not a bad shot. And you might catch people trying to go up the center in response to you making it the snake. So it's something to remember as a snake guy, that when you get into the snake, you need to get your eyes on something right away. And that needs to be the safest thing you can get your eyes on, right? Or just something that's not shooting at you. So a lot of times snake guys will dive and they'll be hearing paint coming at them and they just won't do anything. But the best kills, some of the easiest kills you can make is if you get to the snake and then you look up the middle. So like if we got to the snake, oh my gosh, I keep pressing this. If I get here, maybe the first thing I do is I just look here and I just stay here for a second, because it might be that we killed this guy right here and their home guy decides to fill, and then I start pumping paint, right? Or, oh my gosh, or I might find that their home guy decides to go up here as a read and react to me getting into the snake because he wants to hold me for some reason, and I can just chop him up as he makes that move. But just have your eyes downrange, right? Obviously don't do that forever, but as soon as you get to the snake, if you look up, it doesn't matter if it's snake or Dorito, really. If you get to your bunker and get your gun up as fast as you can looking for a gap, you'll be surprised at how quickly you get kills, or how often you get kills doing that. Now, obviously you don't want to stay too long because your goal is to get up the snake and wrapping and going, right? But just something to be aware of. I mean, the other thing is, like, if people in the snake are always going to the 50 by taking this kind of like slow, sneaky inside route, it's also possible that you come here and you just stare at this, right? If people are just like not challenging the outside snake, maybe what you do is, if the snake is quiet, you know you didn't kill anybody, you just get here quick and then look at him for here instead of coming here and looking inside right away. But I don't know. Amazing breakdown. Thank you. You're welcome, California Dryfly. Thank you. I think you go outside route for sure. No need to shoot at people if you can just shoot them from the 50 and be a thorn. I agree. I think the only reason why you don't go to the 50 is because it ends up just being a trade fest, which I don't think brings any value. I mean, obviously you don't want to stop in the snake and they go to the 50 because that's not great. But my point is, like, if you're able to reasonably trade out with their 50 guy within seconds of them getting there, I don't think it matters for them to be in the 50. And therefore, I don't think it matters if you're in the 50. But obviously, the most important thing is to keep them out of the snake while you get to the 50. But snake side wing wedge cuts off snake 3 and prevents snake 50. Looks promising. Wait, snake side wing wedge. Oh, this thing right here. Ah, beautiful. You found it. There's the anecdote. Not anecdote, antidote. Anecdote is like a story. Like anecdotal evidence. Antidote. That's what it is. Antidote. Antidote? I think there's 2 T's there. There it is, guys. Okay, you found it. So if we send our snake 2 guy here to go to this juice box, get low, he doesn't even have to stop. Gets here, and as long as this guy's going to kill you if he's looking snake way. But if you get here, low wrap, check that off. This is probably the guy that's going to stop you from making this move. Guys, I think we found the meta of this field. We've spent so long looking at this layout that I think we found it. And if you've made it this far, if you're watching the YouTube, you made it this far, I don't know, type my IQ is, or I don't know. What should we say, guys? 5 head. Type 5 head if you've made it this far in the YouTube video, okay? Because, like, holy crap. But I think this is what the meta is, okay? I think the meta is going to be that you send a guy to the snake, or this, it doesn't matter, one of these two, right? You send your guy here and a guy here, okay? This guy shoots for this gap because it's super strong, and then this guy low wraps and tries to get to this 50 as fast as possible, or tries to get here to stop their snake 50. All the while you do this. I think that's the play. Because that's the bunker. That's the bunker that you need to go to stop this from being free. So now you can shore up your positioning going to that 50 and preventing them from running you down. So there it is. Good spot. Good job. Everybody give that man a round of applause. For those practicing this layout, my advice is be aggressive and try new things every point. Yo, guys, Christian from Ironman wants you to practice, be aggressive, and I agree with him. Big Brain Paintball, 5 head brothers. 5 head. Hey, yo, 5 head. I wish people could see that. Oh, yes, you can see it in the YouTube video. I'm just kidding. That can has shot stopping those Dorito moves and the move up to that wedge. He can't look anywhere. Or he can't look everywhere. Just have to find where he's not looking. Exactly. Zeke in shambles right now. 5 head. Wait, is there not... do I not have that emoji in this chat? One second. don't know if I do. 5 head. I don't know how emojis work in this chat. Or not. Whatever. I do have a 5 head emoji. I just don't think it's here. Seeking 5 head. No, it's not. Oh well. Played this layout today. D side is so strong when looking inside. Porter, what's up, buddy? Okay, so you're saying this can. Yes. No, I agree. This can, I would say that this can is super, this is like your flex super clutch player right here. This is like your star, man. This guy's brain needs to be massive. You're reading, and it's not just him. It's not all on him, right? You need to have good game plans. But like, this guy can do so much. So it just depends, right? If you find out that the snake is the reason that you win the game, then this guy probably needs to be shooting the snake way. But then the problem is we go back to the same issue that we had before, right? Where this guy's survivability is threatened by this dude. Okay, so how do we stop that? We send this guy here and shooting at him. So I think a pretty standard breakout is going to be this. I think that's going to be a pretty standard breakout. Not standard. I don't know. That's what I would suspect. That's if you want snake side, right? If you want a snake side push, I think that's going to be pretty common. So you'll have a guy here, 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 and here after the breakout. Well, hopefully in the 50, but. So is your snake 2 going to be that asterisk? Or D side is the island. D side is the island. This is a snake side push play. But the other option, I think, could be that my only thought is like, I don't think it's, I mean, there's so many routes you can take, right? We've established that this can is probably poo-poo. So just if you're wanting to push the D side quick, get here and here. If your survivability is tanking on the Dorito side, just send your Dorito 2 here and your Dorito 1 guy wherever to just survive, right? But if you need more help on the Dorito side, this is your guy. Now that all that means is that you're not killing the snake, and instead you're just trying to get here as fast as you can to stop him from getting into the 50. So that's also an option. I would suspect that this is what the guy will start to do. This is what the guy will do at the tournament on like Friday, and then he'll start getting chopped up pretty quickly from this D side can, and then it'll force him to shoot this way. That's probably what will happen. And then the problem is that we don't have a great shot on the snake. This guy's shot and this little gap is pretty bad. So this guy is like your huge flex player though. This is big brains. Big brains needs to be really good running and gunning, fast, right? High IQ, but obviously everybody needs to be good. So, and there's obviously lots of stuff you could do on the Dorito side. Probably it's just that this gap right here is really, really brutal. So trying to do a very I don't think this breakout works. I don't think this works. I think this works in D4 and lower. I think D3 even would chop people up trying to do this. That's just not great. I don't mean any disrespect by that, but it's just such a big gap, dude. And it's for what, right? You get here and then you shoot you can't see anything. Right? You get here, cool, I made it. Now what? You got nothing heads up except for a gap. You could probably wrap and go, or you could just hold the inside. But why do that? Inside to then what? Come here and then come here and then here? Well, you should have just, if that was the case, you should have just gone here or off the break. So that's kind of my thought. I would suspect that what I should say is this needs to be your strongest gunfighter, and this needs to be your highest IQ read and react guy, and your best run and gunner. Your Dorito 1 needs to be super, super good at surviving and playing just completely by himself. That's what I would say. And then you just kind of 3-man push the snake. But try lots of things. Let me know what works. Let me know what doesn't. The next weekend or next Thursday, we'll do our mega predictions, where we'll break down I have a huge spreadsheet for anybody who's been to those streams. I have a massive spreadsheet that we guess people's point spreads and stuff and then create a bracket. So if you guys at that stream have more insights and things to share, feel free to share it. Although obviously you can share it at Discord at any point, and people would definitely appreciate that. But if the D side push is trash, that means the opposite team won't be laning for it. Carpe D side. Well, I don't think it's that it's trash. So let me say that. Let me be clear. So it's not that the D side push is bad. It's that this is such a hard gap to survive that I think it's going to cause at least one D side player to pull up short. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if, for example, if this gap is so hard to survive from the home, then that just means that both the Dorito 2s are going to be shooting that way, right? And then the Dorito 1s are going to run out here. And all that means is now you've got a one-on-one here, and then you've got this gap that they're trying to hold and prevent each other from getting into. And then whichever Dorito side wins, whichever of these two guys wins, they get to this bunker, if not this bunker. And that's catastrophic for your team, right? Like, so it's not to say that it's bad, it's garbage. It's just, it's really risky. It's high risk, high reward. And that also means that if you die, if you send a guy here and he dies and you're stuck back here, you got a huge problem on your hands, because now you don't know where this dude is. And it doesn't even matter that this guy is still back here, right? Because he can just stop you. So that means you have to take like a huge bite to get to not just like lose the point outright. If this happens, then you either have to have this guy shoot Dorito away to stop this gap, because like we saw that, right? This guy here has this gap. Oops. Sorry, guys. I keep pressing the wrong button. This guy has this gap right here. And then this guy doesn't have anything. This guy can't see anything. If you go up to here, which would be too late, you'd be too late to try and respond. But if he goes here, it's only a matter of time before the snake kills you if you're trying to hold this gap. So it would have to be that if you lose your front Dorito guy, you probably have to just take this bite. Or, sorry, excuse me, you'd probably have to just go here. Or you could go here. Because, right, if we go to that tower, that's this gap right here. Ooh, that's bad. This is a bad spot to try and survive from. So I would probably even go a step further. I'd probably try and come here. It's just, oh man, you're getting so close. This is such a scary challenge to get this close and not know where they're at. You can't really hold this gap. That's an easy snapshot for them. And then as soon as they find you out, you're in big trouble, right? You'll survive the snake probably. Ooh, that sucks. That gap sucks. That's tough, man. It's tough. So it might be that it forced, there might be a situation in which you do need to send 3 people Dorito side. I'm not saying that that's not possible. I would just say that in the case where you lose this guy and you sent 3 snake way, you need to flip the field on them on snake. Like, you just need to push the snake and win. That's your best chance. But if you decide to do a three Dorito side push, I would probably have your home guy shoot this way, and then I'd probably send a guy here and a guy here, and then 2-man operation this way. And then if for whatever reason you lose your Dorito guy, this guy can probably break out while you still have your dude here, right? So that's all. It's not to say that it's not good. It's just if we don't stop them from getting into the snake, they're going to get to the 50 easy. Whereas it's high risk, high reward to get to the 50 Dorito without killing the guy in front of him first. So that's all. Okay, I've talked about that enough. We are done. Give me just a second. We're not done with the stream. We're done with the layout portion of things. So now, hold on. California, I agree with you, but I would actually caveat that it comes down to how much time people have put in. Because, man, I can't tell you how many times people have told me they played paintball for like 15 years and they're just not good. But I do agree. I agree with you in what you're saying. Okay, so the next question that was asked from the Discord server is the last 2 things that I want to talk about before the stream's over, which we only have like 30 more minutes. I want to talk about endgame scenarios and how to close. That's something... Excuse me, that's a question somebody asked in the Discord server. Like, what's the thought process that you use to close out games? And so I'm going to talk about that. And then there was another question that was asked that's like, something about a starting, like advice for a starting out D5 team. Let me look at it really quick. Excuse me. So one question is the thought process behind the critical step 3, closing the game. I know it's situational, but how the remaining teams put together the step 3 on the field in game would be nice. So I'll talk about that. And then essential needs for D5 team in first year of tournaments. So the second question is actually much easier to answer. Oh, and then why can't Iron Man get it together? I don't have any insight on why Iron Man can't get it together. I certainly have like opinions, but I don't. Those opinions aren't based on anything, so they're worthless. But I hope Iron Man get it together. I think they can, but I think it's just going to take them a long time. I think the biggest thing that Iron Man has struggled with is that they have not been a team that has been a brotherhood for a long time. It seems like. You know, like if you think about teams like Dynasty, X Factor, Infamous, these are teams that have been together for a long time and they're friends outside of paintball. And Iron Man just hasn't had that for a while. So I think that's probably playing a pretty big factor in their like chemistry and stuff. But essential needs for a D5 team in the first year. Essential needs. I mean, you could break it down between equipment and just like overall. First of all, what I would say is you want to make sure you have the right foundation and you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And what I mean by that is like, I always say this as advice when you're creating a team or, you know, if you're kind of like senior in whatever team you're a part of, you need to like pretty quickly in your paintball career, kind of surround yourself with people who have similar goals as you. It's okay that if you play, like it's okay to play tournaments with people here and there that don't care to go however far you want to go or to take the game as serious as you do. But like about just past Division 4 is where that really starts to matter. And it would suck to be with the same group of people for however many years, all the while knowing that like paintball's not that serious to them and it's serious to you, right? So like my first thing would be like just make sure you're teaming with people that you have fun with, but that also have like similar or kind of parallel goals as you do, right? Like it might even be as simple as I want to not suck at this sport. Like I want to get better. And so progress and like self-improvement is important to me, and I team with people who also want to do the same. So it might not be that like I want to go pro and so do they. That I don't think it's that important. I don't think most people want to go pro, but I think it is important to team with people that have those types of goals, right? The next thing is just make sure everybody has like their shiz together. Like I can't tell you how many tournaments are lost or how many matches are lost because people just like don't have their gear prepped. Right? Like they show up to the field on tournament day and they're lubing their gun, or they like have a massive jam or something's gunked up or whatever, or their hoppers are dead, doesn't have batteries. So like you need to just go through the practice, like the motions that every serious tournament player goes through, which is like you need to clean your gear before and you need to make sure you're ready to go if in the case you had to play like very first match of the day, right? And you should have your schedule, you should know that, but it's just always good practice, right? Even if we're not playing a game until like 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock, I always have my gear ready the day before, no matter what. Because you might chrono, like you might get your gear put together at like 9 or something and something bad happens and you need the rest of that time to figure out what's going on. So that's the second thing. And honestly, the third thing is just like so much of your experience is going to be shaped by just how much paintball you play, right? Just like play a bunch of paintball and have fun. Like especially in D5, like D5, I don't know if I inadvertently give it crap or if just people, I don't know what people's opinions are of D5, but like D5 is a fun division. It should be your introduction to tournament paintball, and it should be a good experience. It doesn't matter, in my opinion, about winning D5. You're going to get kicked out of it after a year anyway. And might even, if you win your first tournament, you might even get kicked out after. I'm not sure. But like, try to just have fun, enjoy it, you know. A lot of people's quote unquote D5 experience is actually just rec ball. Like I just played rec ball for a long time until I started playing rookie division and 7-man. And that was essentially my D5 experience. And all I did was just have fun. And so I think if you get into paintball and you're like, I want to get really good, I just want to play tournaments, and you're taking it super serious right away, you're going to burn yourself out. No question about it. So, okay. Let's talk about then, to wrap up the stream, let's talk about the thought process of closing out games. So there's a few things here. There's one, I can give you a bunch of different scenarios, and like this is what I think the most correct play would be. Obviously, it's layout specific, so it's kind of hard because I haven't played this field. Well, that's not true. I just haven't played this field yet. So a lot of what I would say is not going to be specific to this layout. And so therefore we should do the other thing, which is like a lot of theory and a lot of like, again, process. What is the process for closing out a game? Now, I'll tell you, a lot of that is actually just in my guides, like the front player, mid player, and back player guide. Almost all of that is in those videos, but I can certainly talk about it in greater detail here, and I'm happy to do that. So let's see. Matt says, I don't know if you noticed this yet, but that snake corner is free. No one can shoot it. The snake corner is free if you survive this gap. If you survive this gap, the snake... No, not that gap. Excuse me. If you survive this gap, which you likely will, that corner is free. You're absolutely right. If you survive this gap, you're home run, because the guy that will kill you is this guy running across and shooting at you. And that's not much of a threat. So if you run baseline... I think you're right. The snake corner is free, and at that point, I think people will just go here and run low and then do that. Or they could even do this. Sorry, I should have emphasized that more. Joe! Hope you feel better soon. Thanks again for the solid breakdown, brother. I'm out. Catch you next time. Thanks, Joe. Sorry I didn't see that until just now. Okay. So... Sorry, I need as much water as I can get, guys. Okay, let's talk about thought process. First things first. You should always know what your game plan is going into a point. Okay, that's like, we just have to have that as a baseline. If you don't have that as a baseline, you're kind of operating in the dark, and therefore, when certain situations start to arise, you don't really know what your team's like unifying goal is to overcome that issue, right? So, for example. Let's say that your breakout looked like, again, try not to be super specific with this layout, but let's say you wanted to do a snake side push, okay? And let's say you lost your Dorito side. Well, if everybody knows that you risked your bodies to make a snake side push, therefore you need to win the snake side because that's how you win the game, then losing your Dorito side isn't as like, oh crap, we're going to lose the point as it might otherwise be. It's still really bad, don't get me wrong, but let's say, for example... After the breakout, it was a 3v3, okay? Excuse me. It was a 3v3. Well, that's not so bad, right? But in actual practice, oftentimes what that looks like is this, right? And so these people are saying like, holy crap, we lost our Dorito side. We're going to lose, right? But what happened on this side? Well, what happens if you killed their snake guy and you killed this guy here? Well, now all they've got is these guys. Okay. So you need to, in order to like be able to close out games, which I said this in my guides, is you need to have the information necessary to close that game out, right? You can certainly play paintball where you're just like, I just push what's in front of me and I shoot at what's in front of me and I react off of instincts, and that gets people pretty far. But if you want to like push past, I would say Division 2 into semi-pro and pro, you need to start thinking about these things more, and you need to start working with teammates more effectively, right? And way more efficiently. So like communication becomes a huge factor when you get to Division 2. And so you need to be able to say to people what is going on, okay? So if, for example, you kill 2 people off the snake side, our call for that, which is a lot of pro teams calls and a lot of other teams calls, is double Ricky, right? We'd say double Ricky, which means kill 2 off the right if we were facing this way, okay? Now, the other thing that we could say would be Arizona. For some people, that's Charger, right? If I were to draw the zones, this would be Arizona and Oklahoma, okay? So if I say Arizona, that means nobody is in this zone on their side. If I say Oklahoma, that means nobody's in this zone. Now, double Ricky is a lot easier to say, and it's a lot faster. And you know, we've kind of gone away as a team from saying like Arizona, Oklahoma, though I would say that's a really good tool to use for a team that's like trying to get used to zone control. But if we say Arizona, that means that the guy on the snake side can just wrap and go all day, like get to their side of the field as fast as possible, okay? If we say 0-2, and maybe like we lost our Doritos, or 0-2 so-and-so, you know, we say the names of the people that we lost. Well, if I say 0-2, you know, well, I wouldn't say this because I'm on the Dorito side, but like if someone were to say 0-2 Steven and Ethan, then they would know that we lost our Dorito side, okay? So that means not only are we Arizona, but we're 0-2, but we're double Ricky. Okay, what's the win condition? With this information, how do we win this point? Okay, we don't even have to know where anybody else is. Let's say we don't, in fact, know where anybody else is. This one is obvious. The win condition is to push and flip the field. Okay, so the thought process here is, what is our advantage and what are we afraid of? Okay, now the only thing you should be afraid of is if they flip the field faster than you flip the field. Okay, so time is of the essence, but there's not really anything you can do about that. But if you'll, a lot of layouts, especially in the last couple of years or last year and a half, you'll see a lot of times that like the front guys are shooting cross field at the guys that are like trying to flip the field on them, right? You'll see a lot of fights that happen like this, where both front guys are trying to flip and they're just shooting cross at each other to like catch them in those gaps. So that's almost always the case going to be, okay, we blasted them out of this side. Now we gotta push that advantage. But what happens in the case when it's not as obvious? Okay, let's say for example, again, it doesn't matter that this might not actually make sense in a game plan sort of way. But let's say we killed. Let's say this is the breakout. Okay, so it's a 4v4. And in fact, let's actually let's take it a one step further. This guy goes here really quickly. Okay, so they have a positional advantage on us on the snake side, or excuse me, on the Dorito side, but we have positional advantage on them on the Dorito side. Okay. Now, if you're not careful, it's really easy for this guy to be like, okay, I need to fill and plug the hole. Okay. But if this guy was the one who killed the snake dude for whatever reason, well, what did we say earlier? We said, well, I've said this in other videos too. If you're the guy to kill the front dude, if you're the number 3 or even the number 2 and you kill the front guy, what is it that you should do? You should capitalize on that win, right? And a lot of times the way that looks is you punch up the middle and you chop off the zone that you just won, right? So now you make it so they definitely can't get into where you just got. Now you can do that from where you killed them originally. Oftentimes you can stay in the back and just stay safe and do that. Higher level IQ teams will know that when you get a kill, it doesn't matter who got the kill, but if you call the kill, it means that one player knows exactly what they should do in response to that. And so I would say that's like the higher tier of high level IQ or high level paintball. So what that might look like is, well, maybe we know that the snake corner is such a strong bunker that we can't really afford for our number 2 to punch up here. I'm not saying that's the case, but let's just imagine that is. Well, maybe what happens is that the home guy knows that if he hears kill the snake, he's the guy who has to look snake way and immediately punch up the middle. So he's shooting Dorito way until he hears kill the snake, kill the snake. As soon as he hears that, he turns his gun snake way and then starts checking off the middle and makes his way instantly to here. Okay, and then he's like, all right, they're not getting anywhere close to the snake. And now you have a 3-man push snake side where you kept your positioning in really strong bunkers, right? Because we established that especially the snake corner bunker is really strong in this case. Because otherwise, if you take everything on yourself, if you're like, okay, well, if I get the kill, I'm the one to punch up the middle. Well, then that sometimes can make really bad that can have like really bad outcomes. Because, for example, if you have this guy who goes up here and you've got a snake guy here, well, if your snake guy dies and your home guy's kind of doing his own thing with the Dorito guys, now you're playing an island drill in a terrible bunker that can easily be punished, easily be ran down in the middle, and all of a sudden you lose the entire snake side because of that, right? So that's kind of like the things to consider, okay? So as a front guy, the thought process is almost always going to be wrap and go. Who is it that's stopping me, and like who's in front of me and who's stopping me in the middle? That's pretty much all you're thinking about for most of the game. Okay, there's obviously callouts that when you hear it should ring you should ring a bell in your mind, like red alert should be stuff that like, hey, watch out for the middle, so on and so forth. But like as a front guy, your job, that's why I say front guys' jobs are super straightforward. It's not that it's easy, it's just very straightforward. Okay, your whole job is to push the side of the field that you're on, and wrap and go and chop off. Do not let them get out from where you just killed them. Constantly be chopping off on the outside of the field. Okay, making it so they can't do this to stop you. As the number 2, your job is to help support that push, which is also playing on the outside of the field and chopping off whichever zones you killed them out of. Okay, this is obviously a very like basic interpretation of what you're supposed to do. But if both players are doing it, then it means that they're trading off jobs, right? Because if we kill the snake guy and I'm the number 2 behind my snake dude, I'm gonna wrap and shoot the guy behind the dude we just killed. Let's say, in fact, it's right here. Let's say it's this guy, okay, and I'm here. I'm gonna tell my snake guy, I've got the whatever. We'll call this the box or something. I've got the box all day. Go, go, go. I've got the box all day. Go, buddy. Go all the way. Go all the way. Right? I'm gonna tell him, give him as much confidence as I can give him to just go to their snake side, so that when he gets there, he can shoot this dude. And now, boom, I can either stand up tall and shoot the next guy if it's a great gap, or I can just immediately launch up and then do it from here, which is usually the safer play, right? You don't want to be super far away from your teammates, but so that's my job as the number 2. That's true. I'm just illustrating it on the snake side. It's exactly the same on the Doritos. Okay, and then the number 3 is to just make sure that you understand which side is going to win the game for you, right? Is it the snake way? Is it the Dorito way? Whichever side it is, and it's usually based on who's farther up the field, or who, like, let's say for example, you have your teammates are like in both like middle positions on the field, okay, and you're the number 3, and you can see both of them. You're like, okay, I know we're in the Dorito 3, and I know we'll call this a snake 2. Okay, I know we're here in these 2 positions. All right, have we killed anybody? Okay, oh, we killed somebody in the Dorito side. Let's punish the Dorito side. I'm going to just start pounding. Who did we kill? Their front Dorito guy? Okay, I'm going to make sure the guy behind him can't fill out. I'm just going to suffocate him for as long as I can. And I'm going to tell my front guy, hey, I've got the Dorito 1. I've got the Dorito 1. Or I've got the Iowa in this case. This is the zone that we call the Doritos. So, like, I've got the Iowa. I've got the Iowa. Go all day, baby. You know, those calls. Give your guy confidence. Just shoot a ton of paint in that zone and make sure that they don't get out of it, right? Okay, that's an easy way. And as long as your front guy survives and knows what he's doing, you'll win games as a number 3 doing that, okay? The other thing you can do is if, for example, this guy, you see this guy fighting, you hear kill one Dorito, kill the Dorito 1, okay? And you see this dude gunfighting. Well, now all of a sudden you have all the confidence in the world to see where the number 3 is behind him, because this dude's busy, right? If you're the number 3 and you see a front guy challenging somebody in the middle, just wrap the side that he's challenging and just gain intel. Just see what's going on, okay? As soon as you do that, and you see this guy, hopefully he doesn't die, but you see you've got all the room in the world to make a huge move, well then come out here, check off the snake, come here, check off, come here. I mean, you can do it really safe. I wouldn't take necessarily a huge bite because you might die, especially after the first 10 seconds. But like, you can also in response be like, okay, I want to kill the number 3 that might try to fill out to help his teammate, or might try to make some kind of cheeky, up the center move to kill my number 1. So what that's going to look like is I'm going to just shoot paint at the guy in front of me, or my mirror, and then I'm going to punch this direction. And then as soon as I get there, what's going to happen is I'm going to get to a bunker that's going to alleviate the pressure for my teammate. Or maybe I'll say, in this case, I might wave him off, right? Like, you know, if you guys know anything about military tactics and stuff, it might be like, hey, cease fire. I'm not saying this is what we actually do, but this is something you could do. Do some kind of hand signal so your teammate can see it, or have some kind of code, which then, hey, drop your gun and let this guy take the bite, because I've got him. I'm going to kill him all day if he makes this move. And so then you set the trap. That's how you set a trap. And then your front guy just chills. He watches over you, makes sure that you don't get ran over. As soon as you say kill 2, right? Or Tiger 2 or whatever, Tiger the can, whatever you want to call it, then you wrap. And now your teammate has free reign to go all the way. Okay? So your 2 options as a home guy is to either push on the outside with your teammates, or to punch that side, right? This is the advantaged side. If you want to like push or flip the field, that's what you do. If you want to plug the hole, you can. It's just very game specific, okay? So let's say, for example, let's say that this bunker was like an amazing bunker to hold the Dorito side from, which I'm not saying it is, but let's say it's like the god bunker to hold the Doritos. Okay, let's say you lost both Dorito guys off the break, and you've got a guy in the snake, and you've got a guy in the snake corner. Well, it wouldn't be a good idea for you to go here, because now you're super susceptible to like a lot of angles from the Dorito for no reason, right? So maybe this is the case in which, and it wouldn't be a good idea to go up the center, depending on where you can hold them from, because as soon as they get past that zone, now you've got a huge issue on your hands. Okay, so it might be the case that instead you go to this bunker, you plug the hole, and you just pump paint into that zone, and you just communicate to your teammates and hope that they win by playing this 2v whatever, right? It might be 2v1, it might be 2v2, whatever the case is. So that's why the number 3 is really complicated because of that very reason. The decision to whether or not you flip the field or plug the gap or plug the hole is like, most of the time you want to plug the hole, or excuse me, most of the time you want to flip the field, but sometimes you want to plug the hole, and it's like hard to know when to do that. And you have to also know the angles of every bunker and all that and so on and so forth, right? We've talked about that. So anyway, that's kind of it. There's a lot more to it, and we can certainly run through different scenarios, but generally speaking, like, you can just do so much. The farther back the field you go, the more creative and fun decisions you can make based on what your teammates are doing. So if you just like observe your teammates for even a second and see kind of which angles they're shooting from or shooting at, and like maybe where the paint's coming at them from, like your teammates, that's so much information you can utilize, right? Again, if I see that my teammate from the 50 stands up and runs and I'm the home guy, guess what I'm doing? I'm standing out here trying to see who I need to shoot at. That's what I'm doing. I'm shooting this way and I'm looking, and then I'm going to charge this way as well. Because when one teammate causes chaos, the easiest way to capitalize on that is to cause more chaos with him. Now, obviously, like if they've got some kind of like weird sneak trap held up the middle, that's going to kill you. But like generally speaking, if you've got 2 teammates alive, these guys are going to play heads up. And so if you see a dude running, if you see your teammate running down the field, you need to just wrap and just shoot paint. Shoot paint everywhere you can to make this guy's play as best as possible, and then immediately follow up by taking massive ground afterwards. Because if you take this ground afterwards, let's say he gets a 2 for 1. Okay? So we kill 2 here for 1. Well, it's probably the front guy and the guy behind him, and now it's just the home guy that's left. But if I stayed all the way back here trying to shoot him from this distance, it's possible for him to break out and get to the corner, and now we don't have that push anymore. But if I get up here, boom, this guy's not going anywhere. And I might even be able to set up a trap that gets him killed as well, and all of a sudden the game is won. Because we're playing a 4v2. Right? Okay. I need some water. I've been talking a lot. I've been ignoring chat because I wanted to get through that. How would you play this field as a 3-man? Man, I need to just make a 3-man video. Don't float. Thanks for the question. I answered it earlier, so that's why I'm teasing you about it, but I'll answer it in just a second. What tournament is playing this as a 3-man? There's so many divisions, or so many like regional events that I hear that are playing 3-mans. It's pretty cool. Give me just a second. All right. Emotional damage. I just had to throw that in there. Wait. Yeah. Wait, what's another one?
You guys silly? I'm still gonna send it.
I'm still gonna send it.
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. Make me wanna dribble dribble.
Yeah,
you know,
DJ Khaled.
Oh, I don't think you guys can hear that. Anyway. Okay, 3-man. Let's talk about 3-man really quick. I'm back, dead phone. No problem, dude. No problem. Okay, 3-man. I don't really care to go through like the specifics of 3-man tactics on this field because it's really straightforward. So 3-mans are about 2 1v1s that you then turn into 2v1s. Okay. So these are always going to be 1v1s. You playing heads up for the most part. And as the number 3, you have to decide which 1v1 you want to turn into a 2v1. Okay. All the while, you check off the middle every time you do it. Okay. So if I decided that I wanted to, let's say we have 2 guns shooting on the snake guy to start. We shoot. I check off the middle. What's my home guy doing? I got to shoot at him. I got to make sure he doesn't just take up the middle for free, right? What you're mostly trying to do is keep tabs of the middle guy, because most of the time, because these two guys on the outside are going to be playing 1v1s, they're not going to be looking up the middle. So it's kind of your job as the home guy to make sure that you keep tabs on him as much as possible. It's also the case that these guys, when they wrap and go up the field, that they need to be checking off the middle every time they do it, which should also give them the intel they need. But like, it's like to win 1v1s, your outside guys need to just be excellent at 1v1ing. And then this guy just needs to support those pushes. That's it. That's all you do. Okay. I know it's like easier said than done. Obviously, the devil is in the details there. But like, that's as much of the tactics as is involved with 1v1s. There's obviously like, in some cases, there will be like somebody sets up a trap where like, okay, we lost their middle guy and maybe our teammate wins the 1v1 against the guy heads up, but as soon as he takes the next bite, he dies to the guy that was in the middle. But that again comes down to, we can't lose the middle. Where is the middle? What is he doing? Where is he going? That sort of thing, right? The other thing is, you don't need to dive anywhere for the most part. Like if you're gonna dive, you should do a side dive so you can get on your knees at least. But you shouldn't, like in a 1v1, you should never run to the snake off break and dive. Like you should have all three guns up every single 3v3, every single time. I don't care if the bunker's hard to survive in or not. You should always have all three guns up, and you should never dive anywhere with your gun down, okay? You should be, ideally, you should have all three guns up at every single point of the game, all the time. If you just decide to stop shooting, that is as much as, that's for however long you decide to shoot, that is as much pressure as you're not applying to them as you could otherwise, right? So you just need to be shooting all the time, putting pressure and wrapping and going. It's super, super basic. Super, super simple. Okay? When you get to the snake, get into a squat. You can put a knee down if you need to, but like 3v3s are not about holding positioning and then shooting at your teammate or shooting at your opponents. It's about shooting at your opponents and pushing. Okay? So stay on your feet as much as possible, even in the snake. Okay? If for whatever reason you get into a 1v1, so let's say these two die and it's a 1v1, stay out of the snake. Don't go this way. Go this way. Let your opponent go into the snake. You want to go here or this way, because this is a really submissive position for them to fight out of. These bunkers are awful to fight from. Pretty much every one of these bunkers is terrible to fight from in a 1v1, whereas all these bunkers are much better. I mean, these are the same, right? But like, you get what I mean. Okay, that's it. That's the basic principles of 3v3. Tactics are way simpler. It's about speed. Like when you get somebody to flinch, take the bite. Don't wait. Don't wait for them to respond back. People are really timid. I imagine that people who are playing 3v3 tournaments are usually in lower divisions, and so that's why I'm giving you this advice. As soon as you get somebody to flinch, take the bite. You need to make that a habit when you play paintball. Get them to flinch, take the bite. Get them to flinch, take the bite. Don't wait. Just take the bite. If you die, learn from it. Who killed me? If it's the guy heads up, it's probably because you went too slow or you didn't actually put them in effectively. If it's the guy in the middle, you just need to make sure to check off the middle before you make your move. And that's it, right? What I mean by check off is like literally look. Look with your gun. Look with your head. Oh, he's not there? Now I take the bite. And that's it. That's it. Ugh. Shooting your teammates means more kills for you. Yeah, if you want to get a 4-pack in a 3v3, there's only one way, and you know what to do. So is the 3 the back player? Yes, it is. Yes. So the number 1 is the front player. Oh, I'm like way off screen. So the number 1 is the front player, and number 2 is the mid player behind him, and the number 3 is the back player. Precise. Sweet. No problem. Or appreciate it. Not precise. Duh. Don't shoot your teammate. Brock, come on, man. We've talked about this. If you want to get a 4-pack, you gotta do what you gotta do. D5 is for shooting at your teammates. True. Shooting your teammates means more kills for you. I already read that. 3v3 is about being a greedy bully. Yes. 3v3 is about bullying people. Okay. There's no faster way. Like, you can tilt people off the face of the earth in 3v3s. So easy. Especially if you've got people who've been playing paintball for a long time, but they're not, like, good. You can tilt people off the face of the earth if you just 2 guns, if not even 3 guns. 3v3 is the only division where you can not division, the only league where you can really get away with putting all 3 guns on one player and still be successful. So it could be possible, and like this is how you tilt somebody off the face of the earth. if you put all 3 of your guns on one guy and you can guarantee his kill, his death every point, and he just doesn't get to play, and you push the Dorito side in response, you're gonna find that they're gonna not send anybody Dorito away. And so then they're gonna have to do like weird random tactics where they double stack the home and push a guy here, or just send 3 people one way. That's totally game. Like that's totally within the ballpark of possibilities. But anyway, Steven, what would be the best role for a new player, front, middle, or back? Front player, definitely. Front player is the most straightforward role there is, and it teaches you, hopefully doesn't teach you aggression. Great stream as always. Thanks, bro. Porter, thanks for being here, buddy. I really appreciate you. Pure evil. But yeah, front player is the most straightforward role. I think it's the best role to learn paintball from because it's very obvious when you're doing your job effectively, and it's very obvious when you're not. Whereas the number 2 and the number 2s are the least straightforward roles in my opinion. I think the home player is even more straightforward because the home guy his job is to lane somebody off break and communicate. And so like that isn't to say that necessarily means that you'll be successful at the back position, but a lot of people will send their heaviest guy in the back because obviously he can't like run to the front Dorito or the front snake. And I'm not trying to make a critique on anybody's physique, but I'm just saying that like there's so much more that goes into playing the back position, but it is it's not as straightforward as just like shooting people and communicating, which a lot of heavy people can do, right? But as the number 2, it's not obvious what you should do except to protect your front guy. And most middle players don't even do that very well. They don't either protect them from getting run down, or they don't keep pressure on the other front player, or they'll drop their gun and look on the inside and completely abandon their front player. And they don't like prioritize communication. And so it's like, man, the middle player is a really, really hard role to play. I should say it's the less straightforward role. But yeah, play the front player. It's just the basic principle of wrapping and going. Wrap on the outside of your bunker, put people in and go. And just do that all the time. So I was running my 3-man event last Saturday. My home field team was in the finals, and it went to a 1v1 in overtime. My guy goes into the snake, and I just face palmed. But somehow he made it out and won. Dude, you're lucky. I mean, yeah, that's super lucky. That's all I have to say. I could break it down, but like, there's no point. It's just super lucky. I should say that everything is probabilistic, okay? I like to teach things with hardline rules because it's much easier to absorb it. But truthfully, everything is in a gray zone. It's like a gradient of gray, right? Or again, it's probabilistic. So like the probability of you winning a 1v1 where you dive into the snake is plummets. Wherever it was you were before, it absolutely plummets. Obviously the factors of like how good you are compared to your opponent plays mostly as mostly at play there, but like if you're equally skilled, if we're making the assumption that you're as good as they are and vice versa, then you automatically tank your probability of winning a match if you dive into the snake. You also get to shoot everyone when you play the 1, which is really fun. That's true. But in high level play, you actually don't shoot a lot of people as the number 1. At high level play, you do when you close out points, when your back players shoot out the guys in front of you, you'll always get like a 3-pack after that. But like at high level play and standoffs, your number 2s are actually the guys that shoot most people. Got a couple teams that want me to play for them. Any tips on how to choose which teams? I'm new to tournament play. Yeah, for sure. Ask them what their goals are as a team and make sure they align with yours. Ask them what the next event or what the next 6 months look like. Because if they don't have an answer to that question, that should be a red flag for you as like, oh, well then why am I playing? Like any respectable team should say like, oh, we're playing these tournaments in the next 3 to 6 months. So that would be the second thing I would ask. And I mean, depending on how they answer those 2 questions, if both of them say, if both of them have the same goals as you do and they both know what they're doing in the next 6 months, then I would just see which ones have better options, right? It might be that one team offers better paint deals than the other, or the other team offers like free gear and the other one doesn't. But I would imagine if you're just new to tournament paintball, there's probably not going to be a whole lot, but highest signing bonus gets you. So yeah, making paintball affordable is probably the most It's probably the best thing you can do for yourself, but because then you can get in a ton of reps, right? Just don't trust. Wait, why is my chat not working? I'm realizing this just now. Like, my YouTube chat is not working. Whatever. Sorry, guys. I'm in a stupid scene now because it just doesn't work. What about this one? Wait. Well, hello. Oh, hello. Okay. Well, that box is supposed to have your chat in it, but just don't trust Latin Saints. Pick the cooler jersey. Bet, I appreciate it. No problem. Go with the team that has better chicken tendies. Make sure, yeah. Whichever team has better sippies and chicken tendies. Tiny Zekin. I don't know, my emotes are doing something weird. Speaking of which, last thing, guys, and then we'll be done. Please don't leave, okay? Just chill for just a second, okay? If you guys haven't seen this yet, I mean, if you're in the Discord server, you will have, but I do have merchandise coming, and it's good quality stuff, guys. It's from Daizana. This is the Dry Fit Tech Tee. Super high quality. If anybody's ever seen the G2 Tech Tee, it's the same material. Super high quality. I'm really excited about this. I have mine coming on in the way. So my thing is, like, I need to get the shirt and jersey in hand before I ever start accepting money for it. And I don't know exactly what the price is going to be yet until I get it back and I hear back from some people at Daizana. So, but this is going to be really cool. And then the jersey, if you guys have ever seen the G2 jersey or the Seattle Thunder, like, I think it was the 2021 jersey, they've got like the extra material on the forearms for when you slide. Dude, this stuff is like legit. This is really high quality stuff. I'm super excited about this. This is one of my favorite like color schemes and stuff that I've been using for a long time. You can see it even in my like gradient logo for Zekin. But if you guys are curious about these, you can certainly join the Discord server to be like one of the first people to know about it. And what we'll probably have to do is, I don't know if we'll actually have to do it, but we might have to order things in batches. So because I'm not going to purchase anything and hold inventory. This is just like me offering this brand to you guys, and it's like ready-made stuff. So or kind of, it's not, I don't know if you call it work order forms. It's not really what it would be called. But anyway, it's pretty cool stuff, man. Daizana does really good stuff, so I'm super excited about that. But copying. Oh, I thought I read that as copying. I was like, dude, no. Yeah, but the tech tees will be super pretty affordable. The jerseys are a little more. I'm trying to like negotiate on the jersey price because it's like not as cheap as I was hoping it would be. So anyway, no juice boxes, no deal. No, dude, it's Capri Suns. No Capri Suns, no deal. I'm not in if there's no Capri Suns. Daizana never got back with me on my dealer application. Oh, really? That's too bad. Get it? Hey, Brock, are you in the Discord server? I'm pretty sure you are. Talk to Tonlo. He might be able to help you out because he's got some good connections there. Alex M, 33 minutes ago. Thanks for the sub, man. I didn't even notice. Thank you for the subscription. Grabbing a tech tee for sure. Dude, the tech tees are going to be freaking... I mean, both of them are going to be awesome. All right, guys. I've rambled enough. We have hit the time. You know it. OG here. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I will be on next Thursday. I won't have a video out this Friday because I've been sick and I've honestly been in bed. So I won't have another video out this Friday, and I apologize for that, but it is what it is, guys. I don't have an excuse. I'm going to be probably streaming games after this. So if you're curious to follow me there, it's twitch.tv/ZekinHD, ZeakinHD. You can also find it on Discord. I will probably be streaming games after this in the next like 20 minutes or so. So if you're curious to hang out there, feel free to join me there. And otherwise, I'll see you guys next Thursday. Have a good one, guys. See ya. Wait, where is it? Where's the screen? End screen. It's just a black screen. Never mind. Bye.